Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. You've made it to part 17. So in part 17, we're going to pick up where we left off in part 16, where I built the virtual machine for you via the Cloud Shell. Right, the Cloud Shell. I went in there and specified a few commands, and we built Ubuntu VM. Then we went ahead and opened up some ports. We were in the Bash console, opened up some ports, and now we're going to continue the journey. The reason I split it up into two parts was because the first part was getting up into 25, 26 minutes long. So I'd figure I'd divide it up into a couple different parts. This will probably be a shorter video. But as you can see, guys, we're here in the Azure console again. And this time, I'm going to go right back up to where I showed you before. Hey, guys, by the way, if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do so. That way, you'll see all the latest videos that I'm producing for you guys. As well, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave comments. You know I always say this in my videos. I don't use advertising. This is not a money-making thing for me. This is purely an extension of my career. I do training professionally. I've been doing so since 1994, and I'm just trying to pass these courses to as many people as I can because, frankly, training is so darn expensive. That's why I'm doing this. But again, I can't do this without you. Please go ahead and subscribe. Comments, whether good, whether bad, that is up to you, but that helps spread the videos around. And I want to thank you for considering doing that. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm back up on the Azure main bar up top. As I showed you in the last video, we can go ahead and search for the Cloud Shell, or because of my resolution, the way I have my window sized so that it shows up better in the recording, I have the other options on the blue bar hidden in this menu right here, More Portal Tools. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. I'm going to open up the Cloud Shell. We built the Cloud Shell in the previous episode. We talked about the storage account. We talked about the share and what that means. I encourage you to go back and watch the previous episode to dive into that a little bit more. And now you'll see we're in the Bash console. Now, we have two main Cloud Shell products that we can use here. We have Bash, as you can see right here in the left-hand corner in the middle where the mouse is spinning. We have Bash, or I can use PowerShell. That's really up to you what you want to use. I'll go ahead and switch it to PowerShell this time. Notice it says switch to PowerShell within Cloud Shell. I'll choose confirm. We'll see a background change to the famous PowerShell blue. Let me slide this up a little bit, and we'll go ahead and start to run a couple additional commands. Remember, I built a Ubuntu Linux VM, and that Ubuntu Linux VM itself, all I did to it so far was I opened up a port. I opened up port 80. The reason I opened up port 80 so I can run an SSH session over it, or you could run a VPN session over it, right? I want to be able to connect to this virtual machine that I built safely and securely. So I opened up port 80. Remember Azure VM or AZVM open port -port 80, and then I had to specify the resource group where I'm putting that rule in, and then the virtual machine that's going to be affected by that. Again, I encourage you, go back and watch the previous episode for this. But let's go ahead now. How about we do this? And I'm typing over top here. Looking over top of this microphone's kind of a mess. This is a big microphone here that as I described last time, I'm using this Rode microphone now, trying to get you guys better audio. So I'm going to go ahead, and what we're going to do is, bear with me a second. Oh, wait a second. What is going on here? Let me go ahead and get down here. Here we go. SSH. Wow, something is going on with my, let me do this, guys. Something is going on with my Cloud Shell here. I had that issue in the previous video. Remember, I was trying to run that command, and the command was caught in there, and I had to redo it. So let's go ahead and run it here in Bash. SSH space AZUSER. SSH space AZURE USER. Azure user. There we go. SSH Azure user. And we're going to point that at the public IP address of that virtual machine that I built, which was 13.90. Remember I read it to you? .231.114. SSH, we're using the secure shell. Azure user at 13.90.231.114. Now here's the thing. When I built the virtual machine with that command line, it built the SSH key set, which was going to be used, or which is going to be used, to connect to this virtual machine. Now, here's the thing. We don't trust the virtual machine. I trust the virtual machine. I built it. But in general, that is not a trusted entity. So watch what happens when I go ahead and I hit enter here. It says, hey, the authenticity of 13.90.231.114, remember, that's the public IP address. That authenticity of that host can't be established. Do you want to trust this machine? And on the bottom it says, hey, are you sure you want to continue connecting? Well, yes, I want to continue connecting. And notice I went ahead now and I am connected to that virtual machine. Look on the bottom, it says the prompt has changed. It says Azure user at marketing-vmeus01. Remember, that's the name of that virtual machine itself. Okay, real simple. And if I scroll up a little bit more, notice it'll then give you some documentation to understand the error that you received. It gives you information about the machine you're now connected to. Right, how much memory usage, swap file usage on the disk, how many users are logged onto it, what is the private IP address. This is that class A10004 IP address, and it just is basically showing you that you're connected to it. Now, what do I want to do with it? I just have a basic Linux virtual machine set up. Well, can I add roles to this virtual machine to, for instance, how about we make it a web server? Okay, because ultimately that's what, let's say that's what I want to do with it in the cloud. Can I do that? Well, how about sudo apt-get, what are we getting? -y update. Okay. What is this going to do for you? This is going to get a list of updates that are already installed on this system. And it's showing you a list of updates. Okay, updates that, I kind of said this a little bit wrong. Updates that are available and updates that are on the actual system. And in essence, it's giving you a list of all these packages that you can go ahead and then install these packages on this system, because I'm making this a web server and it's showing you all of these AMD64 packages, all these different packages that would be available to you, and you would go ahead and choose the package that you're interested in installing. Well, I'm going to do this, sudo apt-get space -y space install. I'm going to install something for you. Nginx, N-G-I-N-X. Sorry guys, I'm looking over this big microphone again. And we'll go ahead and we'll hit enter. And now notice what it did. It's opening up the package. It uncompressed the package. It's installing the package and it's setting it up, getting it all set up for you to use. And in essence, we now just installed this Linux web server, if you will. It is all set up just by using that sudo apt-get, and we're going to install Nginx. And then we can go ahead and just simply type exit, and now we've disconnected from 13.90.231.114. Now, if I go ahead and let me open up another browser. Now, you're only going to see a weird part of this internet browser. This is just your typical Microsoft browser that I'm using here, but it's only getting this portion of it, so it may look a little weird. But up here in the bar, which you can't see, the URL bar, I'm typing the IP address of that particular server, 13.90.231.114. And we'll go ahead and we'll hit enter and see what happens here as we attempt to connect to this Nginx web server, if you will, that we set up. We'll give it a second here and see if it times out, see what it's going to do. 13.90.231.114, I believe I have the IP address. It's still spinning, says it can't reach the page. We'll give it a second here. Sorry guys if my camera's a little bit out of whack here. 13.90.231.114. Still spinning, still thinking. We'll see what's going on, and it doesn't like that for some reason. Make sure I got the IP address right, and it looks like I did. All right, let's type it in this way. All right, so let's type it in a little bit differently. Let me go ahead again and open up the browser. I just refreshed the browser. 13.90. Sometimes this does take a little bit of time for it to kick in. I'm doing this pretty quick, but let's go ahead and see. Oh, there you go. All right, so you can see I've now connected to 13.90.231.114. Welcome to Nginx. All right, if you see this page, the Nginx web server is successfully installed and working. Further configuration obviously is required because I don't have a website there. But guys, what we've done in the past two parts, we used the command line as a part of the Cloud Shell. And the Cloud Shell, of course, allows you to use Bash, or it allows you to use PowerShell. I was having a weird browser issue with PowerShell, so I just switched back to Bash and ran those sudo commands. But we built the web server, or we built the virtual machine first. That was the first command. The second command that I used, and again, this is all specified in the previous video. Please, I encourage you to go watch that. Then I specified we need to open up port 80 so that I could eventually connect to it, which again, I did using the SSH space Azure user at whatever that public IP address was, 13.90.231.114. And then from there, of course, we went ahead and I installed the web server. I used the sudo commands. And the first thing I did is I ran the sudo apt-get, in essence, show me all of the updates that I can make to this machine. Show me all of the available packages. And it did show you the other package. There was only one that was installed. And I chose to install Nginx, which is, of course, a little web server. I used the sudo apt command to do that as well. Did it. And then I opened up a browser for you. Real simple. Typed in the IP address 13.90.231.114. And we saw how now we have the web server all set up. So I could have done all of that at the GUI. And I could have logged on directly to the web server itself or the virtual server itself and installed it in the OS. I just ran commands to do it because this is an example of how we can use the command line. You can write scripts to automate. You have a whole world of things you can do at the console within the Azure portal using that Cloud Shell. So guys, that's it. We're going to wrap this one up a little bit early. I'll see you on the next episode with another demonstration of something. I want to thank you guys for joining. As I said earlier, please guys, I can't do this without you guys. I really need this information spread to as many people as possible because again, training is so expensive. As I always describe in my videos, you know, it's hard for people to drop $2,000-$3,000 on a training course to go get certified. I'm giving you the full training courses for free in YouTube without any advertising. This is strictly me helping other people get certified, because we need a lot of good people in this industry. There's a lot of jobs in the IT world that just simply aren't filled. And I'm doing whatever I can to help people get certified. I want to thank you so much, and I will see you guys on the next episode.